At least 36 people, including children, are dead in Thailand's worst mass shooting and stabbing in the nation's history. Officials say the suspected gunman opened fire at a daycare center in the rural town of Nong Bua Lampu in northeastern Thailand. Authorities say the assailant was an ex-police officer. They say he took his own life after killing his wife and child at home. Jonathan Head from our partners at the BBC reports from outside the daycare center with more.
A community consumed by grief and shock that children so young could have been deliberately killed by a fellow parent. The children were taking a nap inside the daycare centre when the attacker turned up to collect his son, who wasn't there, and then opened fire.
He used his feet to kick the window, then he got at the door. I thought he'd got inside. I ran to the kitchen behind. I was in shock. I didn't know what to do.
Survivors were taken to the nearest hospital, but there weren't many. Police say the attacker was a former police officer who'd been arrested and was being tried on drug charges. It was just a few minutes since they took the bodies out of this daycare centre and away in a long convoy of ambulances. There's still a lot of activity here, a lot of police, a lot of local people who've come down as well, offering help to those affected by this horrific incident. But more than anything else, there's just stunned disbelief about what could have driven this man to carry out such a cruel and desperate act. A few distraught family members stayed close by, hoping for answers, but there were none. Nanti Chapancham is lucky to have survived. She's a teacher at the centre. She described hearing the first shots as she was preparing lunch. She recognised the shooter as a parent. We never thought he would attack the children, she said. This country is accustomed to gun crime, but nothing on this scale involving so many children. Jonathan Head, BBC News, northeastern Thailand.
Joining us for more is Zachary Abuza. He is a professor at the National War College in Washington and a specialist on Southeast Asian politics and security. Zachary, welcome. Thanks for joining us. So before this rampage back in 2020, there was a mass shooting in Thailand where a soldier opened fire at a mall, also in the northeastern region. 29 people were killed in that attack. How common are mass shootings in the country?
They're actually not very common. Thailand has the highest rate of gun ownership in Southeast Asia, and it has either the highest or the second highest murder rate in Southeast Asia, but mass shootings are actually very rare.
So, given that, that fact that Thailand has one of the highest rates of gun ownership in Asia, where are these guns coming from, and what can you tell us about the nation's gun laws?
There is lawful ownership in Thailand, and there are very high rates of ownership of guns. You have to understand that in parts of the country, like in Thailand's deep south, where there's been a long-running secessionist insurgency going back since 2004, the government actually arms local militias. They hand out weapons, and this has taken place in other parts of the country. And then the country is awash in black market weapons, weapons that cascaded out of former war zones from the Cold War in Cambodia or Laos. Right now, you have a multi-front civil war in neighboring Myanmar with a very large demand for illicit weapons that sometimes are cascading out of China. And of course, you have from Myanmar right now a surge in the amount of illicit methamphetamine and other synthetic drugs that are coming out of the country in record amounts. And we're talking about billions of dollars, $40 to $60 billion a year in proceeds from the sale. And so the region has seen an increase in just armed gangs that are trying to control this drugs trade.
So given that confluence of factors that you just spelled out then, Zachary, I mean, is an event like the one that just transpired perhaps enough to change how the country's government views guns and gun ownership?
I think it's very unlikely. Gun ownership is part of the culture. You know how hard it is in America. Every time we have mass shootings here, there are cries to do something and nothing ever gets done. And I don't think we should expect other countries necessarily to be better. Again, these mass casualty shootings in Thailand are fairly rare, but the fact that 37 people were killed, 22 of them children, is really horrific. And maybe it will prompt the government. Maybe I'm being slightly cynical here. He also attacks people with a knife. So there are limits to what we can do.
Right, just a horrific situation. Zachary Abuza. Zachary, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me on this sad day.